morning, good afternoon, good evening. I've been told I always start like from the wrong times of day. You should always start from good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm getting taught so many things, Alex. You'll be surprised. Etiquette and manners and all sorts. But it's amazing. I love it. You should always be ready to learn more. Never think that you've accomplished all and you know all. So please educate me as much as you can, people. I love it. Of course, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you are, wherever you're watching this live stream from, or whether you watch it on the playback. You're most welcome to the Daily Grizz. I know you're going to say, what's with the random time? Sometimes 7, sometimes 10. Well, the problem is, people, at 7 p.m., it was still around 35 degrees. There was no way I was going to do a live stream in those conditions. Do you know what I mean? So I've gone for the safe option. I've gone the weak option and waited until 10 p.m. It's a bit better. And obviously, Love Island. You know, as people are telling me Love Island needs to go. But before we go any further, listen, do what Bear says. Grizzly, Bear, do you get it? He's no relation to me, though. He says smash a like on your way in. And Ilias, who's a channel member, doesn't lie as well. He says the first thing you should be doing is focusing on hitting that like button. It takes 1 second and it helps the channel. That's what it is. And then I've got a bit of a telling off here, Alex. I'm so sorry. I'm going to come to you any second, but I love being told off as well sometimes. Bit of a mean-spirited tweet about Ben Davies. Expect more from you, Grizz. I apologize. I'm sorry, JJPK. I apologize. But never expect more from me. That part I do not apologize for, but I do. It was said in jest. Basically, I said, people that don't know what JJPK is talking about, I said, thank you, Ben Davies, for, and that's all I said. So, okay, it was a bit of a joke. Ha. All right, look, maybe mean, yeah, I should know better. Slap on the wrist and all that. We all make a mistake. But of course, I've got the great Alex, the Euro expert in town. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm already enjoying the comments. It's great. Someone's already said, well done, you've got Zinchenko on stream. I got a tweet earlier. I did a tweet
It's
earlier.
better than bloody the usual what you get. It's better than the usual what you get.
Ed
right?
Sheeran, yeah. Someone else has put that.
Upgrade.
I was going to say, I did a tweet earlier for wonderful people who follow me, many from this channel, Grizz. I said, which thread do you want out this weekend on football? And someone said, how long can you stand out in the sun without getting sunburned? I'm enjoying the heat wave, and I'm enjoying to be back on the Grizz Khan channel.
Amazing. You've been away as well, haven't you? You've had a little break, you said.
Yeah, I took a bit of a winter getaway. I went to Spain. It's winter compared to here.
Really? Is it not as hot as it is here?
No, I went to Menorca, island next to Mallorca, and it's 30 degrees there, and it's not as hot as it is over here. Really sells it.
People admit, because I'm about to admit, I wouldn't have known the difference between Mallorca and Menorca if Alex didn't tell me that. So you learn something new every day on this channel. This is why I say subscribe if you haven't, like if you haven't, and even better than that, become a club member. The link is in the description. So many perks. Too many perks to get through because we'll be here all night. But go check it out. So much to talk about. This weather is glorious, Omar says. Yeah, it's glorious for you, son. You're a night owl. He sleeps all day with a fan on and then wakes up in the middle of the night and stays awake all night. So, yeah, for him, it's lovely. William says, what's up, Big Grizz? Trying to get these people to smash the like. Yeah, it's a mission, isn't it? They're so mean with the likes. So mean. A lot of Nunez chatter from Sporting. Touch on that, mate. We will. If we get a chance, I'll ask Alex's thoughts on Nunez, what he thinks of the Sporting Lisbon box-to-box midfielder. But Alex, how's things? Back in the groove? I see you've done I just see your video and actually on your most recent one on Broja for West Ham. So West Ham have made or are very close to agreeing a deal with is it Armando Broja?
Yeah, it is indeed Armando Broja or Broja.
Are you impressed or what?
Yes, and sort of. I
Okay.
mean, to give a bit of background, I mean, it's to the guys watching, everyone watching at home, you don't want me to just list off stats. Give a bit of personal background on him. I was watching Broja for Vitesse 2 seasons ago when he was on loan there from Chelsea. Surprise. And I didn't think he'd do well in the Premier League. I've got to be honest. I was really apprehensive. I thought he had very few touches per game. I thought all his goals were, not all of his goals, but a lot of his goals came from rebounds or a bit of luck from the Eredivisie defenders. But he did surprise me in the Premier League. However, for the fee that's being bandied about, it's a significant number. It's over 30 million, around that ballpark.
The feed, the main man himself, David Ornstein, doesn't mention a fee here. People in the chat, if you know about the fee, let us know. Sorry, Alex.
Yeah, it's all right. I think it's just been a couple of fees banding about because Chelsea obviously are going to drive a hard bargain. But it's still someone who only scored 6 Premier League goals last season. And every goal he scored was right-footed, which I found quite interesting. He scored, Chris, I went through all of his goals earlier. Every single goal he has scored for club level from, recently until he started playing professional football for Vitesse. And only one of them came with his left foot. So he's a very one-footed player, and he's someone who does excel running in behind. Maybe that does work out for West Ham. But I think there's a slight element of risk here. I mean, obviously, we saw last season goals. I think it was against Tottenham or Southampton in particular. Or it was Tottenham against Crystal Palace, where he's weaving in and out of players. And he does look... I mean, we're going to get onto another West Ham target. He is someone in that mould of striker that's coming through at the moment. Maybe other people are picking up on it. I'm starting to now. Where it's these really tall strikers who you think, that's a target, man. And then they're able to be so agile on the ball. Broja is definitely one of those players. You can see why West Ham are going for it, but maybe it is a bit of a slight gamble. I don't know what you think, Grizz, and what the comments think as well.
Yeah, so Ilias is obviously one of the channel members, so he's legit. He says it's around 35 million. Obviously, the main man doesn't mention a fee here. He says West Ham close to agreement with Chelsea for Armando Broja, currently working towards permanent. Personal terms in place, but contract length undetermined. Deal didn't develop at Chelsea. Request, but his wish for first team starts. So I like him. My initial thoughts are, I like him. I was at Southampton, Liverpool at Anfield when he gave our centre-backs quite a hard time, Alex. I found him very physical, very quick, very strong for his age. He's very young. Do you know how young? Do you know how old he is? 21,
20 years old. 20
years old. Alex, this guy didn't look... I mean, in terms of, he didn't look intimidated physically whilst up against Virgil and Matip, I think it was that day. I'm not 100%. It might have been Konate. I can't remember. People are saying 21, yeah. Don Barnes says, weird that Broja is going to West Ham with Antonio there while there's no real striker at Chelsea. I'm not a fan of Antonio, Alex. I think this guy has the potential, and I see where David Moyes is going with this in terms of his planning. What would you say, and I think you've touched upon one or two of them, what would you say his main strengths and assets are?
I think his main strengths and assets are the things that you wouldn't really particularly guess with Broja. I mean, you look at him, and like we said, this is someone who is, I think, 6'3" or 6'4", bordering on that sort of level of height. And you think, great, he's going to be someone who really relies on, I mean, there's a lot of elements of physicality, but backing into defenders and bulldozing his way past defenders. But really, his really big strengths lie in pacing in behind and picking these runs as well. I think he's very good at, I think it was against Brentford where he pulled quite wide left when Southampton had a counter-attack, raced him behind and got a good shooting opportunity. So I think his big assets lie in timing his runs, getting in behind at quick speeds, taking defenders off guard. And his finishing, I think, he could work on his consistency. He scored all 6 of his Premier League goals came between October and December, and he played the majority of the season. And I think 4 of those came within like January and February. He was quite inconsistent in the end, or I guess consistently inconsistent. But his finishing, I think, did show quite a bit of potential. He was having some very nice clean finishes. So
I like your assessment of him. I'd pretty much agree. I think you've nailed it. Again, obviously, because of his physical stature, he does like to back into defenders, and he's very good like that. I know what you mean about he only scored 6 goals at West Ham. Not West Ham, sorry, Southampton. Not a great return. But then again, they've got a couple of strikers that he rotated with.
And first Premier League season.
So taking all those things into consideration, a lot of time injured as well for a young player to come in and out of a struggling team like Southampton were pretty much. They have their odd spell where they look like world beaters. They can pull off a result against a major team and then they go back to type again, so to speak. I like this. The fact that he was at Chelsea also makes me think he's got some talent, because we know the academy at Chelsea is top notch. How many players have they produced? So many go on to pastures new. So many make careers of themselves, even if they don't get through. Do you understand his frustration and seemingly need to get away from Chelsea? Because they've not got a striker right now. Could it have worked out there if he saw it out?
I mean, that is the definite viewpoint there. Like, is he going to get the game time? Do you know what? Maybe this is something Liverpool fans will definitely enjoy getting behind. Just an alternative viewpoint. Maybe he's worried about getting the game time. Look what happened to Romelu Lukaku last season. A big, strong striker who liked getting him behind. And look how terribly it went for him. Maybe he's looking at this Chelsea team and thinking, even if I get the chances to play, I'm not actually going to get the chances to score. So I'll probably be better off elsewhere. Like, Tuchel is getting a lot of criticism at the moment, I think, for not playing a lot of young players. But he did manage to blood players like Moussa Diaby at PSG. I think he's happy to try out the young players. Maybe it's a combination for Broja of, am I going to play all the time in front of Kai Havertz, like you're saying there? And maybe it is a case of, am I actually suited to this Chelsea team, or could I be better off somewhere like West Ham, where there's less pressure and I'm more likely to play in a counter-attacking system?
Yeah, I see your point about the counter-attacking system. But then I've been telling Chelsea fans their manager is very known for his counter-attacking system, even though they've got aspirations to sort of get beyond that tag and sort of try to win the league or compete for it. I've always said they need to get away from that mentality of being a counter-attacking team. Look, Broja, I can see him working at West Ham. I do like that. But it's something else that I wanted to rack your brain about in terms of, you've said about this new wave of target men a lot of coaches are going for. So we obviously know the high profile Haaland. We know Darwin Nunez, again, both 6 foot plus. Broja, 6 foot plus. Someone else West Ham have been cheeky in terms of going for and seeing which one comes out is, I'll let you say his name.
Gianluca Scamacca.
There you go. Talk to me about Gianluca Scamacca.
I mean, again, this is a fun one because I do West Ham videos for the YouTube channel Hammers Chat, their Patreon. And the guys over there messaged me before I went on holiday a week ago and said, what do you think about Scamacca to West Ham? And I said, yeah, he's great, but he's never moving. And now it really does seem there's been bids, negotiations going on. And that's taken me by a lot of shock, because this is someone who you guys watching may have seen linked to PSG, and I think is really on that level. I mean, most people will know him in the analytics world, in the football talking world, as the striker at Sassuolo, who is 6'5", who's idolises Zlatan Ibrahimovic and plays a lot like him. Someone who's very skillful with his feet, and you can see he's been paying attention to his hero. And he scored, I believe it was 16 goals last season in Serie A, between 13 and 16. And a lot of those guys, he didn't start many games. I think he started as many as Broja, but he still managed to impress. But again, with Scamacca, this is someone whose pedigree, I think, goes back a bit further than his time at Sassuolo. He spent time at PSV. He spent time in his youth career at both Lazio and Roma. There's always been a lot of hype around him. So the fact the 23-year-old is getting bidded for by West Ham, and there is a genuine possibility after the signing of Hugo Ekitike for PSG that they could beat the Le Parisien to Scamacca. I think that's crazy. I mean, listen, there's a couple like comments as well pointing out that maybe I was being a bit harsh on Broja or Broja, keep pronouncing his name differently every time. I think Broja signing for West Ham would be great. Maybe I'm a little apprehensive because I think signing Scamacca might just be a bit better.
I agree with you. People, forgive me for the randomness of the account. I very quickly typed in Scamacca and I just pulled up a tweet around the sort of the news, but it has been said by Ornstein as well, so it's very, very reliable in terms of the link between West Ham and Scamacca. This guy, for me, Alex, I'm with you. So I wanted to bring you up so everyone knows what he looks like, who he is. You said he's 23, Alex.
I think so, yes.
Okay, people will let us know if he's not.
Yeah,
or not.
22 or 23.
I like this guy. You mentioned the name Ibrahimovic. I see so many traits. Obviously, not to the level of the great man Zlatan himself, but this guy is up and coming. The fact that PSG wanted him, the fact that he's done so well in Serie A, he's got an arrogance and cockiness about him. I like him. He's not the quickest, but he's got amazing touch and feet. He's tall. Again, another one of these 6 foot plus forwards that you automatically think is just a target man. As you said, he's so much more than a target man. Loves bringing others into play. I saw him play for the national team. I can't remember who it was against. I really liked him. I really like his, obviously, an Italian forward comes with passion and desire as well. And he's got plenty of that. I like this signing. I would favor him over Broja right now if you put me on the spot. But I think the Broja one is more advanced and is more realistic. Stylistically, they are a bit different, though, as you said. This one, Scamacca would be more involved in the build-up play. Wait, hold on. Scamacca would suit Chelsea, Alex. What do you think about that one?
I do actually think he would, you were about to hit the nail on the head there. He's a lot more involved in the build-up play. He's someone who drops deep because he's so good in tight spaces. Again, a bit like Broja, he could work on his physicality. It'd be great for Chelsea there. And again, it is a case of one important point to mention when we talk about Scamacca and Broja and these players, like we said, the new breed of target men, is that they're going to age a lot better than some other strikers. I mean, let's take, Timo Werner, for example. He's not great anyway. But in the alternate universe where he's banging 30 in a season for Chelsea at the moment, it's probably reliant on his pace. And his pace isn't going to last until he's like late 30s. Where if you look at players like Olivier Giroud, for example, these are players, Zlatan himself as well, they can go into their mid-30s, even their late 30s, and grow as players. Sure, they might lose their speed, but they improve their experience, they improve their link-up play. And I think that's the exciting thing about Broja and Scamacca. These aren't players who are investments for the next 3 or 4 years. They can be investments, if you keep them happy at your club, for the next 10 years, if realistically. Yeah,
no, you're spot on. I'm actually trying to locate the name of the player. Can you spell it for me?
SC.
No, where we're going on to now.
Oh, yes.
So I think, so basically to end on that particular segment, I think it's looking very likely that Broja is the one they're going to go for and probably get over the line. In fact, I think it's pretty much nailed on to be done. I think it's a sharp, shrewd signing. I think he'll get plenty of game time. A lot of people have mentioned that Antonio's 32 now and he misses a lot of games through injury. Again, I'm not a massive fan of him either. So I guess that would make it make sense. That's the one. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about another target. You can start off while I find him.
Yeah, I will start off. Well, Grizz gets him up. The target we're going to talk about for West Ham, someone who, again, this is similar. I didn't expect him to joining. It's Amadou Onana, I believe. There's a few Onanas out there, so forgive us. We're sorting out the name. Yeah. Andre Onana's just gone to Inter. And Amadou Onana, someone who's less known about at Lille, their midfielder, a bid for 38 million euros has been submitted. And the bid is very high because Amadou Onana only joined Lille last season from, I believe it was Wolfsburg, a German team around, Hamburg, I believe, in the second tier of the Bundesliga. Come out of nowhere. And funnily enough, this is another not a target man, but this is another tall midfielder who's got the agility of someone who's like 5'6". That's really where he's been excelling for Lille. To give a bit of background on them, after they won the title in 2021, they became
So he was part of that team that won the title in 2021.
No, he's joined straight after, and
so he joined straight after. Sorry, okay.
No, it's okay because it gives a bit of context. So when all those players left Lille after they won the title, they weren't quite as strong. I think they lost their second game of the season 4-0.
Remind me who was part of that midfield, if you know. People in the chat, go check it out. We know there was Sanchez, the one who's gone to AC Milan now. Is it? Has he gone
I think he's heading
now?
there. Yes,
he's heading there. We know there was a Brazilian as well who was the name of in the DM in for Lille.
I think you might be the winger. I believe that there's.
I may be wrong.
Benjamin. Well, actually, I know you might mix up. There was Xhaka, the Portuguese. Benjamin Andre, their midfielder, and the one you really probably is racking your bread, Boubakary Soumaré, who went to Leicester.
Of course.
There you go. Onana is a very different type of player. As I was going to say, when Lille lost those players, they became surprisingly a worse side, and they couldn't hold much of the ball. Onana came in, who's someone 6'3", is coming to be someone who drives the ball up the pitch if he's dribbling. He takes it around players and gets it forward. And what's interesting as well, Lille have been camped back so much that if you look at his FootBref page, for example, everyone goes to the statistics, he doesn't look that good because a lot of his good passes are in his own half, so they won't register as what we call progressive passes for people watching, which is moving the ball 10 yards closer to the opposition's goal in their final third or in the final third. Onana is doing those passes, but just on the edge of his box, so it's not quite coming up as well. But I think another reason West Ham might be going for him is because from the rumours I've read, I'm not sure they're very official, just little whispers, they're maybe considering of looking past the future of Thomas Souček. Maybe he's a little less well-rounded than they thought. And Onana is someone who came second in the Lille squad last season for tackles, interceptions per 90. He was averaging over 5.4 per 90. So having him in the midfield is going to provide that defensive cover as well as a well-roundedness to take it around opposition players and provide a bit of progression to West Ham.
I think. Hold on. Are you aware of Thiago Mendes, Alex?
He is at Leon.
So you're wrong, Harris. Thank you for trying to back me up, but you're wrong. So Benjamin Andre, remind me of his nationality.
French. He's. I don't know who said Don Barnes. He's right. Andre is a very good midfielder. I won't spend too long on him. He's 30 years old. If he was 10 years younger, he'd be going to Chelsea, Liverpool, one of those teams.
I've got my bearings wrong then. I apologize. I thought there was a Brazilian in there. Not a very known Brazilian, but yes, I am wrong.
There is a Brazilian in there. I think his name's Luis Araujo, but he was a little more of a winger. Quite a
Squad player. Okay. Yeah. So back to Onana. The way you've profiled him suggests to me he's very much in the mold of a David Moyes midfielder. So we know that he's, as you've said, he's again 6 foot plus, very, very aggressive, ball-winning type. I think even if Souček is believed to be going or rumored to be going or whatever, I believe the weakest part for me, Alex, in terms of squad depth was the central midfield. For example, if Souček and Rice were missing, who did they have as an alternative? Mark Noble retired. I literally can't think of anyone else unless they changed the system a bit.
They had Alex Krau, who they brought in on loan from Spartak Moscow, didn't play.
My point exactly. So they needed some depth in that part of the pitch. This screams squad depth type signing. But then when you look at the fee, what was the fee? I had it up there.
38 million, I believe, wasn't it?
38 million euros. So we're looking around, let's just say 35 million pounds, right? That's quite a hefty fee for someone that you've just said wasn't part of the the title winning season at Lille. And okay, he may be he may have the potential to go on to be a superb household name in Europe. 35 million pounds, quite a hefty fee, would you say?
Yeah, especially for someone who, prior to this season, his only professional experience was in the second tier of German football. It's definitely risky. I don't think the fee is largely coming from how good he is now, rather than
The potential.
The potential and the fact that Lille have, unlike other Lille players, they've got no desire to let him go. He's only just joined. So maybe this is a case of West Ham thinking, if we get him in for 35 now, it means we won't have to pay 80 for him or 60 for him next year.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, I guess, from that aspect. That is one to definitely keep an eye on, I'd say, because I'm right.
There's also Arsenal really heavily linked to him as well. So yeah, like you said, really want to.
It kind of makes sense though. Again, it kind of makes sense for Arsenal. I've been screaming out. I mean, we're going to go on to Arsenal people. A couple of people asking about the Arsenal situation. We're going to go on to. We're going to try to cover as much as we can. Just bear with us. When me and Alex get together, we like to talk football, real football. We like to get into it. Just a couple of super chats actually before we go on. Paul T says, "Hi Grizz. To rectify from my last super chat, I said I am deluded, but I mean by I'm not. I was typing super fast. I am not deluded. Glory Man United." Then he sends in another super chat. I don't know what to make of your first one, Paul, but no problem. Who am I to call you deluded if you say you're not? He says, "Grizz, have you heard what Benfica owner said about Timo Nunez? You overpaid. Timo Nunez at best would be a good striker, but not a world-class in Premiership." Just to burst your bubble, Paul, that was fake quotes. He didn't really say that. They were made on the internet, and then all of a sudden they get viral. Something I wanted to touch upon, Alex. People have said something here that I want.
About Haller.
Yes. Obviously, no confirmation, but Ant Dicko is not a mess about in my chat. He's a good fella. He says, "Grizz, Haller has left Dortmund camp due to finding testicular tumor." Obviously, if that is true, then wow, best regards and best wishes. Never good to hear something like that. Wow, he only just moved there, hasn't he, from Ajax? So that's a bit of a shocking one. Dortmund posted it. Okay, my God, yeah, that's a bit of bad news. Wow. Smash that like on the way in. Brush says Brush is a Man United fan, but he likes the content. Fergie's son, another Man United fan who likes the content. This is amazing stuff. Like the stream, guys. Thank you very much, people. Let's go on to the other major news of the day, Alex. Here we go. The main man himself, Ornstein, says Arsenal finalizing move for Alexander Zinchenko from Man City after reaching agreement in principle for the 4-year contract, fee believed to be 30 million plus 2 million achievable add-ons, and now personal terms in place too. If all goes to plan, medical, then sign. I like this signing a lot, Alex.
I'm on the same page. I'm early today. I wasn't too sure, but I'm really fortunate to use the platform Y-Scout, and I was looking at his highlights in central midfield. Not necessarily his highlights, just different parts of it. So the passes he makes in midfield, the dribbles he makes in midfield, the tackles he makes in midfield. I'm actually quite excited about this. I mean, obvious thing is, where is he going to play? And I would like to say, if he's playing left back, I think it's going to be a City thing. He'll go into midfield. And if he plays in midfield, he'll play in midfield anyway. So I'm pretty sure that's the area he's going to operate in, right? And it's worth saying as well, until the Euros last year, is where he played for Ukraine. He was even made captain of Ukraine, by the way, as a central midfielder, the youngest captain in their history. So away from City, it's the area he's operated in. And from looking a bit more at him, I think where he does excel is in his dribbling. I was quite surprised just to go back over him and realize how much he actually brings. He averages the 9th most progressive carries per night in the Premier League, which is moving the ball 5 yards closer to goal inside the opposition's half. Now, that is dominated by City players because they all dominate the ball. Liverpool players are right there in there as well. But it does go to show this is someone who is very good at carrying the ball through opposition lines. I think he's also top of the squad for progressive passes per 90. Before I throw it back to you, what I'll say is the counter to this is Zinchenko is still something. This is where I was coming from earlier when I was looking at banding to him. Something of an unknown prospect that he's played in this City team, which, let's face it, is a very distorted team. It's almost like an alien team. Like I'm not saying anyone could go into the City team and excel, but Pep's system is so well taught and well oiled. Like, if you perform the role in there, you can do great. Like, look at Fabian Delph. for example. Like a good player who looks excellent. Also, Zinchenko has never started more than 15 Premier League games in a season, and he's been at City for a while now. Last season, he started 10 games. So Arsenal better be sure of what they're getting in Zinchenko.
I think you make some very good points, pro and against it. Just wanted to, where is this gone? Okay, so we know that's official about Sebastian Haller. Where was this? AM says, Grizz, it's my birthday. I have anxiety about watching your shows. Helps me, thanks. That's great news, man. Happy birthday from both
Happy
of us.
Birthday, man.
Exactly. Yeah. I see the points that you've raised about Zinchenko. You've actually surprised me with some of the stats on there. I like him. They're very positive stats. I think what you opened up with, for me, is the biggest advantage of buying him, I should say. I think he's an upgrade on Xhaka in that 8 role. I think he's a very intelligent. I think the fact that you mentioned him captaining his national team at such a young age, compare that to the car crash of a captain Xhaka is for club, and I don't think he meant. Does he captain his country, Xhaka, Switzerland? No, I don't think he does. Correct me if I'm wrong, people in the chat. If Xhaka captains Switzerland, I don't think he does. But what an awful captain Xhaka is. Disciplinary problems on and off the pitch. More on the pitch in terms of not only his red cards, but just recklessness, yellow cards, lack of positional play. Yes, very good technically, Xhaka, once he gets hold of it. Oh, he does. Okay. So he is captain of his national team as well, Xhaka, which again shows to you that he's not getting any better or not maturing as a player as a result of that captaincy. Whereas Zinchenko has gone through a lot. Of course, we know that. And he's not been a regular at Man City. I accept that. But I think, and speaking to a few Man City fans, yes, there are a few of them out there that I've managed to befriend. He's never let them down, Alex. He's never let them down. Everyone speaks so highly of Zinchenko in terms of his game intelligence, technique, his progressive passing, dribbles. A lot is thrown at him in terms of he's the weak link. So, for example, when an opposition plays and if they see Zinchenko at left back, it's like target down that side. But how often have we seen errors leading to goals from Zinchenko? How often have we seen him rinsed from an opposition winger, so to speak? I think he's a fantastic acquisition. I think majority of the time, I think he'll be played as an 8. Even if he's not, as you said, he'll be played as an inverted left back. Tierney is one of my favorite fullbacks apart from Robertson. For me, he's absolutely wonderful. But what do we know? What do we know about Tierney? He is so injury prone. This guy, I think, for the price that we've mentioned, and let's not forget, Alex, he's coming from Man City, elite mentality, elite professional, winning mentality, everything that Arsenal haven't got. And what have they gone and done? They've got Gabriel Jesus, who has all of that hunger, desire, passion, point to prove. And again, all of these factors, to me, suggest that Zinchenko is a fantastic signing for them.
Yeah, and Don Bonds brings up in the chat as well, he did change the game on the final day of the season to help City win the league. We won't bring up those memories though on this channel.
Yeah, thank you. But you're right. Did he come in at halftime, people? Let us know. Did he come in at halftime? Was he the one of the changes made?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. I'm not too sure, but like to take it around a more safe route for this channel. I'd like to go back on the captaincy thing as well, because like the route you're going down, like you're saying, I'm well on board with it. In the City squad, he might be seen as a weak link, but that's because the other side is Kyle Walker, who's like one of the best right backs in world football. So being a weak link because you're not as good as one of the best right backs in world football, it's not really that much. Like, you know, it's not an insult. I don't think you've been insulted by it. And like you said, on the flip side for Ukraine, he's much more one of the senior players. When Roger Van did in that captain story as well, which I think really does sell it. He was made captain after he did make an error for his country and he received death threats. And it was bounced off of that, that he got made captain and he took that on and, you know, really won over the hearts of the country when they went to the Euros. So this is a player who's got a lot of experience away from Manchester City, and maybe he will bring, like you said, a lot of experience from the club and from the country into the Arsenal dressing room to add on to his on the pitch skills. And also, like, away from what Arsenal getting from this, I think he'll be really hungry to prove himself. Like,
absolutely,
yeah, this is going to be a big move for him. This is his opportunity to be a main starter in the Premier League side, away from, like we said, someone who's not started ever even half the games in the Premier League season. So this could be a win-win for all parties.
Yes, I get what you mean from the Man City point, because I guess it gets to my I wanted someone put up Grizz thoughts on Cucurella, because what this means as a result of this is that's pretty much nailed on now, because there's no way they don't replace Zinchenko as a very, very able squad player, or left back, I should say, in particular. I think Cucurella is wonderful as well. I think it'll be probably, I wouldn't like to say upgrade, because as I said, I value Zinchenko a lot. I think Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus will be missed. I'm going to whisper it at the moment, because we know they've got a juggernaut of a squad and they can bring in who they want and when they want. But whisper it quietly. I think they will miss Zinchenko, Jesus, and Sterling. That's quite a bit of quality just suddenly gone. Experience of winning, experience of playing, pressure situations, pressure games, professionals as well. But Cucurella, sorry, Alex, we digress.
I mean, I won't whisper out. I've got Liverpool to win the league this season personally. Cucurella, Cucurella. I've been a bit of a journey with him. I mean, I wasn't sure on his season, and so I looked a bit more into it. He has played quite a bit of the season, I believe, at left centre back for Brighton as well as left wing back, which helps explain why his numbers aren't that great. I think he's only got a handful of assists. When in that Brighton side, you might look at him and think, look, you're meant to be the wing back in a 5 at the back system. You should be a main outlet of this team who are struggling for goals. What are you bringing to the side? The fact he's played at left centre back has still added that. Really does shine well on him. And like I said, you only have to watch him to kind of show how comfortable he is on the ball. I believe he's an ex-Barcelona player as well, so it goes without saying how good he is passing and dribbling. And if you put that under Pep, like, I personally don't think he's a Manchester City player yet, like that level, but he's clearly got all the ingredients. Like, if Pep could make a checklist of a player he wants to mould, I think Cucurella ticks off absolutely everything. So I think he does have potential to be an upgrade on Zinchenko, particularly because this whole time Zinchenko has always been sort of a makeshift left back, if that makes sense. I mean, I haven't got Cucurella's stats to hand, but I had made a little comparison for myself. Zinchenko and Tierney get involved in the same amount of ground duels per 90, around 2 per 90, which is 1v1 situations. Tierney is successful in over 60% of these. Zinchenko is successful in 49%. So it does show. Yeah, it does show that while Zinchenko is good, we're discussing it's a good sign, and he's not a left back. Cucurella is inherently a more defensive player. He has played experience playing more of the wing. So I think it does make a bit more of a natural fit for City, and like we said, has all the ingredients to succeed there under Pep.
Yeah, I guess you're spot on about any player that gets under the tutelage of Pep and has a reasonable amount of talent like Cucurella has. They only get better, don't they? It doesn't bode well for the rest of the teams when they can just pluck probably one of Brighton's better players now, especially now that Dan Burns is gone, Bissouma's gone. I'd say Cucurella is probably their best player now, probably more sought after out of the player. Ben White's gone as well, we know that. So I guess he's as Splashnet says, he's got bundles of energy as well. He is. Every time we see him play, you've got to look past those curly locks of his. He's quite a tenacious player. Vex Blazer, absolutely. He says he's been an absolute baller since his A-Bar days. He's someone I wanted at Liverpool before Robertson would be a huge signing for City, especially with the way they play. Look, when players are sold, players will be bought. And, unfortunately, I'm interested to see, very quickly before we move on, Alex, I'm interested to see, do you see Man City trying to or attempting to replace the likes of Sterling and Jesus?
I'm not sure, to be fair. They have the money for it, clearly, yeah. And I think they do have it in FFP, but they've signed Haaland, and I don't think they're going to go further than signing Haaland and Phillips and possibly Cucurella. And I'll whisper it quietly, I'm not 100% confident on Haaland in his first season. So
talk to us. Talk to us. We like that. Go on. What do you mean?
Well, he's coming from the Bundesliga, so there's going to be a big transition there. Whether we Bundesliga fans or not, I like watching it. But he's going from a Dortmund team where he's largely played on the counter to a City team where he's going to play every single week, pretty much no matter who he plays, a deep block. Going to be very different, the type of service that he receives. He also missed 40% of game time last season. It's probably something you said on the channel before, but he's so injury prone that it makes me worry about him. I just think that this transition to City, it's just a very different league, transitioned into a very different side with these injury issues. He might hit the ground running, but he's not going to score. In my personal opinion, might get clipped. I don't think he's going to score the 30 goals that people are propping up. I think he might get 20, but I reckon in the first season at least, it's why personally I've got Liverpool to win the league. I don't think City are going to be the beast that everyone is saying. I know we tend to say that every year and then they just go and do it in their boring fashion that they always do. But I think there's potential for City to be making a mistake, but maybe one they're happy to swallow. Maybe they're happy to save their money this season, not replace Sterling or Jesus, cope with Haaland, bed him in, and then in 2024, 25 or 2023, 24, these years, they're going to crush the league at that point.
Alex, I swear to you, there's over 300 people in here, first and foremost. We absolutely welcome the support. We're humbled by the support. But the amount of likes in ratio to the amount of people here is quite disappointing. But what I wanted to say to over 300 of you right here is this wasn't planned. This wasn't a targeted attack on Haaland. Not attack, but targeted agenda. You know, I didn't know Alex's opinion on the Haaland and City situation. Alex, I've been saying that on my channel. I've been saying exactly this. In isolation, Haaland is an absolute goal machine. Anyone who tells you otherwise is just doing it for banter and wind-up purposes. But if you really analyze the way he played at Dortmund and the way Dortmund played around him, it's totally different when you compare it to the way Pep employs his so-called attackers, midfielders, whatever you want to call them, because let's not forget, for a season and a half, they've been playing without a target man per se. Suddenly, they're going to have a target man. Chelsea are probably the most recent examples, and I'm not comparing Tuchel to Pep. Pep is a far superior coach. But one of the most recent examples of an attacker or a striker, a target man, having to adjust to a way of playing is Lukaku, right? I mean, I can't think of a more recent and useful example. Yes, Haaland, in my opinion, is far more intelligent in his movement than Lukaku. Yes, the players around Lukaku, Haaland will be far more intelligent in their movement, and of course the coach. But I don't think it'll be smooth sailing like you suggest. And now that triggers a lot of people who say, well, how can you say that? Well, we've just said it.
I mean, in the interest of fairness as well, like, I don't think Darwin Nunez is going to hit the ground running personally, but the difference is...
that's absolutely fair as well.
And the difference is that Liverpool don't have to play Darwin Nunez every game. You can get away with...
Thank you, Alex. This is exactly what I've been saying. We have, and I know Jota got injured, and I was very sad because, Alex, this is what I've said. Before Mane left, the reason why we were okay with Mane going is because we bought Luis Diaz as a replacement on the left, who has cemented his place on the left for the last 6 months. Without a preseason, not knowing the system, he's going to be enhanced in his play, enhanced in team play. Mohamed Salah owns the right position. In the middle, people have conveniently forgot that Nunez doesn't have to come in and the pressure of the world doesn't have to be on him, because we've got Diego Jota, who has scored 20 goals last season. People forget. And instead of Diogo Jota, we have a Bobby Firmino who knows the system better than anyone else in the club, because he's playing that system for the last 5-6 seasons. People conveniently forget that aspect. You're absolutely spot on. Haaland has to come in and be on fire from day one. Otherwise, no Sterling, no Jesus, and a misfiring Haaland.
Yeah, they've sold their backup plan. Yeah, so that's why. I mean, we're in an echo chamber, we're both agreeing, so we could be made to look stupid in a year's time, but there's
absolutely. Yeah, we're here for it.
Sound logic to it. Like, if Haaland doesn't hit the ground running, they've sold Jesus now and they've sold Sterling. They've limited their options. So unless they go out and pull the trigger on a replacement for these guys, then yeah, I think this is why I just have the edge towards Liverpool personally. But that's a fun tangent. I'm sure Liverpool fans of the chat absolutely love that.
Absolutely. But the thing is, the beauty of my chat, as you've obviously known, is so respectful. I mean, have you noticed? They're amazing. The people in my chat are so knowledgeable when it comes to football, because there was no outburst when you said about Nunez. There wasn't, oh, get this guy off the screen. What's he talking about? My people know. My people understand. Amazing. Big up yourselves. There's over 315 of you. Hit a few likes and it keeps on going. I wanted to ask you about this chat.
Oh yes.
Lisandro Martinez, Man United, same height as me, possibly 1 inch smaller. I think I'm 5'10". He's 5'9". Your thoughts on this, Alex? Because this is where we may have our first disagreement or differences of opinions. I don't know. Let's go.
I don't think you're going to strongly disagree or agree with me. I mean, the people watching, you're getting a relative exclusive. I've talked about this on the EPL Index podcast, but I haven't spoken about it on YouTube. I went to the trouble, had an afternoon, and I watched every aerial duel that Lisandro Martinez has been involved in using the power of Y-Scout. I watched every aerial duel he's been involved in over the past 12 months. And I did a full report on his ability in the air, which is, let's be honest, it's the big thing that everyone is worried about. Can he play centre-back? Can he cope with the Premier League? And the answer is, yeah, sort of. He's someone who is clearly brilliant at, I'm going to use my demonstration. He's great at, if a player is here, he nudges them in the back, not in a foul, but keeps them away from the trajectory of the ball and is able to head it away. When he's able to control the situation, he's great. Where he can get exposed personally, I think, is corners or free kicks, where he hasn't got the time to set the scene.
Adjust. Yeah, body shape. Yeah.
Easy counter to that would be, if it's a free kick or a corner, he can, there's people who can, he doesn't have to be on, Ivan Toney, right? There's other people in the squad that can be on him. But if it's a very quick cross, he could be exposed there. So my general view is that despite being 5'9", and as someone who is 100% 6'10", I don't care about people insulting short people, of course. I'm definitely not 5'8". I think he can play in the Premier League, but it's it's not 100% certainty. Away from the head, and I will say as well, away from the questions about his aerial ability, can he physically cope? I think he's great at aggressively attacking players. He's very smart as well. He's not just charging into the back of them. He knows when to intercept. He's a brilliant passer. It's just personally, I would prefer to play him in midfield, but Erik Ten Hag seems quite set on playing him at centre-back. I'm interested to see how it goes, but I think there is a bit more nuance to the debate rather than to... He's got a 63% aerial win rate at the Champions League on one side, and the other side, he's 5'9", he can't head a ball, he's too short. Somewhere in the middle.
There's a couple of things that I want to chat to you about. So the first point was about in terms of the way he play makes, basically. So obviously, shout out to Statman Dave. I'm using his tweet. Hope he doesn't mind too much. Free plug anyway, Statman Dave. Lisandro Martinez registered 5.01 expected assists last season, more than all of Man United's centre-backs combined. We know Man United had major issues in terms of progressive play from the back. We know the technicalities of the technical skills of their centre-backs leave a lot to be desired. This guy, the reason why they've paid the hefty fee and the pursuit has been so strong is because of this, right, Alex? This guy is a proper ball-playing centre-half. It's a must for any team that has aspirations from playing from the back, right? As Ten Hag seemingly does, because where does he come from? Ajax. What do Ajax known for, or what are they known for? ball-playing centre-backs we know. I've compared him to a more aggressive, quicker Daily Blind.
Yeah, I knew that's coming. Yeah.
What do you think?
I can see that. But I will say I have to quit. I like Statman Dave as well, but I think that's that. I mean, we all love it here. I think that is putting a bit too much shine on him. Ajax are so dominant in Eredivisie.
Yeah.
Martinez is a centre back who can camp inside the opposition's half. And he also has experience playing a left back. He did drop there a couple of times this season. So I think the expected assists over the other Man United centre backs, I think there's a bit of a harsh comparison. I think there's definitely merit to it. Like, I'm not saying he's playmaking.
How's this for a comparison?
Javier Mascherano. I'm going to be honest, I didn't watch enough Mascherano when I was younger, so I can't make the comparison. I think the Daily Blind...
I'll tell you, Javier Mascherano was an absolute pit bull Villa DM, but then became an elite. Yes, I'm saying it with my chest. He became an elite centre-back at Barcelona under the tutorship of some great coaches. He actually took to the centre-back role so well. Again, someone who is 5'8", I believe, guys. That's not a bad comparison at all because people spoke about. But again, Alex, it goes back to your point about both of these players. Well, Barcelona owned the ball, right? We know that Barcelona team absolutely owned the ball. But then again, that Barcelona won Champions Leagues where not necessarily owned the ball in every single game. Yet, well, he was magnificent, never caught out in terms of aerially, apart from set pieces and sort of, direct free kicks, corners, etc., things like that. I like what you said about him in that aspect as well. But this league is totally different from La Liga as well, because people have been throwing, since I've said that, Alex, basically, or not just me, but everyone's talked about in terms of him possibly suffering in terms of the aerial route. People have thrown Ayala. People have thrown Cannavaro at me. People have thrown Baresi at me. All these players that weren't 6 foot players, but yet have all magnificent. The one key thing amongst all of those players and the teams they played for, they were part of magnificent teams. Man United are not a magnificent team right now. That's where I think he will struggle because they just won't have the domination of those players had, of the domination those players had in those great dominating teams. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, 100%. I think it is definitely going to be a battle, really, because I agree. I think the comparisons like the Cannavaros and stuff, those are just examples, right, of short defenders doing relatively short defenders. People 5'8" are normal height. Let's normalise it, people. It's an example of players who aren't 6 foot doing well, and it's not necessarily to say that Martinez is going to be a Cannavaro type player. As I said, Man United, I mean, I'm really mixed on them this season. I'm not too keen. So I don't think they're going to be dominating the ball. But what I will say with Martinez, even though I think the fee is extortionate, there is no way they should be committing as much as 60 million euros to that player. That's crazy money for me personally.
I agree with that. I do rate him as a player, but I agree with you. Sorry. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I think even the staunchest Ajax fan who thinks he's amazing wouldn't even value him that high. I think Ajax have done a number on United there. But what I will say is, if he does concede a couple of goals from losing area choice, which let's be fair, he's still a very strong player. Like, he's not going to be bulldozed out the way. I think if he concedes those goals, it will be from very, very quick crosses where he's simply towered over by a tall striker, and it just happens to be over him. There's not many headed goals by lots of tall strikers. I mean, Ivan Toney, I don't think, has scored many this season. He's probably the most physical striker we've got in the Premier League, right? So I think his playmaking ability could outweigh his physicality. My personal opinion is just that away from his height, this is still a player who is very strong. Like, I wouldn't want to be getting into an aerial duel with him. Settled at least. I think he's very underrated in his strength.
He's one of those players that sort of low sense of gravity, but he's got this very heavy lower build type thing. He stables and he's a very good stabilizes himself. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Like, when he goes in for these headers, like I said, from watching him, what you notice a lot, he very rarely jumps. He stands his ground. He gets the opposition striker. By the way, in the Eredivisie, there's still like 6'4" or 5 players who are trying to tower over him. They're trying to exploit him. He gets them out of the way. He's very strong at shoving them out of the way, stands still, gets the ball away. So it's definitely going to be quite interesting. I'll be flat out there. I don't know how he's going to play, but I think it's going to be a battle between his technique, his reading of the game, him being self-aware that he needs to try hard and win these duels, try harder than other players, and the Premier League trying to exploit it every single game and to see what happens.
We also don't know for a fact if he's going to be played in midfield. Because they may stick with the taller centre-backs, your Varans, your Maguires, your Lindelofs. Hope they do, because awful centre-backs they are. Hopefully they do stick with them. But this fella could be used in midfield for the very fact that he's so good on the ball. His height won't be too much of an issue if he's playing in front of sort of 2 6-foot+ centre-backs.
And he came in through midfield when he first moved to Ajax. He was central midfielder when he first joined.
How about 3 at the back? Any chance of Ten Hag potentially playing him as a old school libero type thing, total football and Ajax and all that? What do you think?
I think the 3 at the back is actually an option. I think one thing that's been mentioned is because
has he got history of it?
I'm not sure he's got history as 3 at the back, but he has got history as playing as a left back. So
Ten Hag.
Oh, Ten Hag's a 3 at back. I don't think he has. He's largely stuck to 4-2-3-1. But it makes sense for him to play left centre back. I think what it does depend on is see, personally, I think until Ten Hag's recent comments, I would have said that Ten Hag played Martinez at centre back because he knew he could get away with it at Ajax. Ajax was so dominant, he knew he could play this player who, might not be the most tallest, might be the most natural centre back, but he's so good on the ball. You may as well park a midfielder in defence. It just helps Ajax dominate games even more. I think at United, he might consider playing in midfield because he's going to be a bit more of a ball winner and a bit more of a defensive midfielder, which is really what they need, and they still haven't addressed. Until the recent comments, I would have assumed he would have been a bit more pragmatic, played him in midfield. If he plays him in defence, maybe it's more of Ten Hag's vision. But I think if a more neutral manager came in, a more pragmatic manager like Ancelotti came in, they would put Martinez in midfield. And personally, I think that would be the better decision. But Erik Ten Hag knows 100 times more than me about football. And if he thinks he can make it work, he could make it work.
I wouldn't say 100 times. You're very knowledgeable. I'd say about 78 times more than that. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. Some other news. People are suggesting that an Italian journalist by the name of Tancredi Palmieri, I can't bring it up, Antico, I'm so sorry, because I'm on another screen doing something else. The Ronaldo situation, very quickly. Do you want to have a say on that? So now apparently Atletico Madrid are interested in him. He just doesn't sound, look, feel to me like a Diego Simeone type player. That doesn't make sense, surely.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this Ronaldo thing he's only going to be at one club, right? And it's going to be Man United. I'm in the firm opinion. I'm not on the United channel, so I could be very open and honest. I think getting him was a big mistake, and it's funny watching this whole thing play out. And, respect to him. He's a legend of the game, but he's more harm than good to this United side. And I reckon they're probably trying to get rid of him as much as they say they aren't. But I think he's stuck there. Where is he going to go?
Many will agree with you. It's absolutely weird. Yeah, Pixelate Pigeon. It's actually Atletico, not even Real. It's Atletico is linked with Atletico Madrid. Just I think we've done most of the news in terms of other clubs and everything. Just for the few Liverpool fans in here, maybe the odd one or two. I'm joking, guys. In terms of Liverpool news, so Liverpool flew back to the Ajax. Well, they flew back on Friday night, had the weekend off, and they were scheduled to come in today. Joe Gomez, who missed the Reds' victory over Crystal Palace in Singapore with a knock on Friday, looked to be back in action with his teammates, had a full training session. A couple of the players done indoor sessions, possibly the ones that were worried about the heat and saying, probably wanted. I think a couple of them just said, "Oh, we've got a couple of niggles here and there. Can we stay at the air-conditioned gym instead of going out in the heat?" But unfortunately, Kevin Kelleher, Calvin Ramsey, Cade Gordon, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Allison was still nowhere to be seen, which is slightly bad news. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a bit of bad news in terms of those players. Allison, from what I believe, is nothing serious. Obviously, Diogo Jota, I've forgotten as well. Diogo Jota is out for a little while. Oxlade is out for a little while. Both of them will, from what I understand, will miss the rest of the preseason, which is it's a bit of a ball ache. Especially Diogo Jota, as we said, Alex. For me, he was nailed on to start of the season, either him or Bobby. What does this mean then for you in terms of the Nunez situation? I know we haven't had a chat about Nunez. So for the Liverpool fans in here, what's your opinion? Is it pretty much your Haaland analysis in terms of the profile of player, how we fit into the Liverpool way of playing, which is slightly different from the way Man City play? The floor is yours.
I think it's less about so for Haaland to City, I think Haaland has the ability. It's just about a massive situation change, massive change to circumstances. I think Nunez is still quite raw of a player. I think he needs to work on his vision in the final third, decision making in the final third. So I think at Liverpool, it's going to be a case of improving as a player rather than betting into the system. I actually think he could do quite well in the system. Personally, I don't know what you guys think. I think he'll be first bedded in, maybe off the left, maybe it's like sub appearances, because at Benfica he was quite used to dropping to the left before coming inside or like operating in that sort of space. And I think that'd be an easier way to bed him in rather than playing up front and put a lot of pressure on him.
Just to stop you there, in case people start saying, telling you, I'll tell you what they're going to say. Just something different. Alex, I agreed with you, and I've agreed with you because that's where he played at Benfica. But just to let you know, he's only had 60 minutes or so. But what we've, as Liverpool fans, have noticed is it's totally the opposite, Alex. What he's been doing, he's been deployed, obviously, as a striker. We've had either Carvalho and Diaz out wide left. And what we've noticed, Alex, is he's linking a lot with the right-sided attacker, whether it's Salah, yes, and it's quite evident that he's been doing that. He's been peeling off to the right. So, for example, he had a chance. The couple of shots he's had on target have been from the right. The interplay with the fellow attacker has been from the right. So something different there, Alex. Sorry.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So maybe that is Klopp very early in coaching him to try and get away from the left-hand side, because it's definitely somewhere where he played at Benfica and sort of leaned off of. So maybe this is all part of the plan. I guess I still try and maintain the belief, personally, that in the Premier League, he will be bedded in just there, like for a short while before he is played mainly down the middle, which is where his future will be. Out of him and Haaland, like who will adapt first? I reckon they're going to take around the same amount of time. But maybe Nunez, under the Liverpool way, it just seems every player you sign just hits the ground running eventually. Maybe Nunez is going to adapt a bit quicker. And I think more than anything as well, with Haaland, there's going to be such a big, change in circumstances.
Yeah.
With Nunez, I think there's so much good you can exploit already. Like, it isn't like a player who needs to improve in all areas. I think the player just needs to improve in some areas. So if you can exploit the bits he's good at, which is getting 1v1 and being quite a good clinical finisher and also physically out-muscling his marker, then there's goals to be had from him quite early on.
I'm looking forward to seeing more scrappy goals, Alex. Do you know what I mean by that? Do you know the goals where you don't have to play scintillating football? The goals, the rebounds, the ricochets. He comes across like the type of striker that lives off them as well. Not necessarily the perfect cross, the perfect through ball. Do you know what I mean? And every great team needs one of those, right? It's not all about walking the ball into the net or exquisite finishes, variety of finishes. Sometimes that knack Diogo Jota has that as well, Alex. Do you think? Would you agree if I said Diogo Jota has that? Because sometimes he doesn't look the most cleanest in terms of technical ability, yet he knows where the goal is. He senses a goal. I think Nunez has got that as well. I don't know what you think.
Diogo Jota is that one where I always put him with the commentary line of he's always in the right place at the right time. So I'm inclined to agree with you on that.
That's what I love about Diogo Jota. He doesn't always look like he's sort of in control of the ball or the move. Like sometimes he doesn't think he knows what he's going to do with his second or third touch. But you're right. But we hope your analysis of Nunez is right. Big up Vex Blazer, who's become a YouTube member of the channel. Big up yourself. Thank you very much. Appreciate the support. He says, long overdue. Just noticed I wasn't a member. Big up. You have so many perks. So many perks. We have interactive shows coming on. Your comments are certified to be read out, even if you disagree with me or hate anyone in the panel, as long as they're not abusive, obviously. You get you get your own emoji, you get priority on call-in shows as well that I'm coming on with. We're doing a fantasy. Are you a fantasy league player, Alex?
Yes, but I've got a friend who's
that means no. That means no, basically. The way you said yes, that means you're not.
No, I am. I did well. I came top 200,000. I thought I did good, but I've got a friend who's got into football a year ago and he came top 2,000.
Fluke.
He's done it he got football 2 years ago and he's been amazing 2 years in a row. So I'm embarrassed to say it because I keep getting beaten by this guy who keeps going to me and said, maybe I'm the Euro expert. So it's touched a nerve, FPL. I'm going to win this year.
Well, let him know I am thinking of doing an FPL show on my channel. So if he wants to be involved in that, let him know. Get in touch. Or if you want to get involved in that, people, here we go. Some breaking news. I'm going to bring you FPL content this season as well. So I don't know what kind of FPL content, but it's going to be like a chat between guys and our suggestions in terms of our opinions, in terms of who we think may be a great shout. Just off the bat, have you got any amazing suggestions for the people in the chat for FPL? Look out for FPL bargains.
Yes, Ivan Perisic. He's got 13 goals last season and he's cast.
Take note, people. This is free advice.
He's got the goal output of a winger because he plays as a winger, but he's classed as a defender. So you'll get more points when he scores and assists goals. And he's got the motor of someone who's like 10 years younger. He'll play most games of Conte and he'll get lots of goal contributions, have a lot of high points. And because he's a defender, he'll get ridiculous points. It's free advice. He's cheap. Put him in your team.
Listen, there's over 315 of you. You can't go wrong. Absolutely. There we go. Vex Blazer's got some advice for people as well. Joe Ribiro, I'll keep the rest to myself. Joe Ribo's not a bad shout as well, Alex.
I put him in a video to say put him in your team. He's enough one. I think it's good.
Okay. Got another question from a member who asked, as I said, I always like to go through the members' questions. Grizz, I know it's premature at this moment, but who do you and your guests think will have a better season between Arsenal and United? That's a tricky one, isn't it, Alex?
I think
I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first.
I'll keep it brief. I guess that I'm leaning more towards Arsenal. The more I'm looking at this United team, I'm thinking you haven't got your DM. If you bring Frankie de Jong in, he's not a DM. Maybe you play Martinez there. Then you haven't improved your defense. Malacia, he's not Premier League ready. I'll tell you that right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he's not. Okay, maybe he's like lower bottom 10 Premier League ready, but he's too rash, in my opinion, to be a starting left back for Manchester United. Whereas Arsenal, I think they've got their recruitment right. I think Fabio Vieira is very good. I think Jesus is very good. They seem about to sign Zinchenko. That's a good signing as well. We've agreed on this stream. So I'd be picking Arsenal personally.
It's a tricky one. From what you've said, I agree, and I've been saying it. So I can't just suddenly change my mind just because they've managed to get one centre-back over the line. Frankie de Jong probably will end up there, but I agree with you. He's not the DM they need, but he's a playmaking DM. So that's they've got a playmaking centre-back, a playmaking DM, and a playmaking attacking mid in Christian Eriksen as well. A lot of playmakers there. They haven't firmed up. I'm going to go with Arsenal as well, Alex. I'm going to go with Arsenal as well. There you go. People, We have a new YouTube member, Captain Sal, who I guessed his name was Salman, didn't I, last time? Or did I not get it right? But welcome to the channel, my friend. Thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. This has been an amazing stream. I really, really enjoyed it. Don't worry. Alex will be on again. He's a very busy man. Usually he helps us out on Champions League nights when we've got a European team that we're playing against, and we want the lowdown, the real lowdown, and Alex fills us in. Alex, it's been a pleasure as always, my man.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to be back on, man. It's a very nice treat to come from old Laneby straight on the channel, and what a nice chat, what a nice night with the chat as well. We had a very good chat on all the teams and all the players.
Absolutely brilliant people. There's still over 330 of you. If you haven't liked the stream, why haven't you liked the stream? Is it me? Is it Alex? Is it, what is it? Yeah, exactly. Quick, let's get to 200 before we leave. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. We'll be back tomorrow. He's sub to you. You've got a sub. Alex, of course, give a shout out to your socials, man. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Pixelated, for reminding me.
Oh, it's all right. Thank you. Yeah, if you want more of me, I know there's a few more questions in the chat as well. You can buzz them over to my Twitter @EuroExpert. Feel free to DM me. I always try and respond to everyone. And you can get my short videos on TikTok where you get the signing reviews on absolutely everybody. So yeah, go to those two channels @EuroExpert or on YouTube, and hopefully you enjoy my content and feel free to ask any questions.
They have. Alex needs to be back on. Big up, Top Knowledge. He will be back on. Alex is part of the team now. Thank you very much, guys. This has been the Daily Grizz. Bit late than usual, but you know, sometimes you gotta wait, you know, for quality. Patience is a virtue, as I say. Hope we fulfilled your needs for tonight. Footballing needs. Good luck with the rest. Have a great night. Take care.